Am I on Patreon? Am I on Patreon? Am I on Patreon? All right. Really, those dudes, the Chiodo brothers, or whoever made that, were inspired by this movie.
Hey everyone, tonight is the Oscars, and I'm not watching them because I have to edit the latest episode of the Kaiju Podcast. That's what that looks like. Also, I figured if you don't feel like watching the Oscars, you could watch me edit. I don't know which is going to be quicker or which is going to be more fun, but if you're on my Patreon page, patreon.com/casinoskunk, and if you're subscribed to the $1 tier, which unlocks every single one of the podcasts that I've done for that page, you'll be able to watch that live stream now. So head over to patreon.com/casinoskunk and watch me edit the Kaiju Podcast episode that's coming out tomorrow called The Blob. And hit me up with questions over there and distract me from doing this work that I should be finished by tomorrow. So check that out. I'm live on Patreon, on YouTube. I don't even know if you can see that. So patreon.com/casinoskunk. It's $1. You'll get at least 43 episodes or 40 episodes. I don't know. Head over there. I'm live. I'm going to be bored by myself. So stop by. Send questions. Bye.
Was in, was it them? I like it when I looked him up. He was in another one of the movies from our stuff. He was like an old drunk guy.
Oh, one of the drunk guys in them where they were like, and they're trying to see if they were drunk, if their stories matched up.
Yeah, I think he was one of those guys.
Mm. I was gonna look up the female lead because she looked familiar, and I I'll look it up real quick. I'm gonna open up IMDb on this. Nope, that's 1988. It's 1988.
Yeah, he played Jensen in them. The woman, I didn't recognize her as. Yeah, he played Jensen in them. The woman, I didn't recognize her as. So she's known for the Andy Griffith Show.
I didn't watch a lot of that. Oh, speaking of
Oh,
which,
she was in Blazing Saddles.
Speaking of Andy Griffith, she was the actress in Creature from the Black Lagoon. Today.
Oh, she did.
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
Oh, she did?
Yeah. I didn't watch a lot of that. Oh, speaking of which.
Oh, she was in Blazing Saddles.
I didn't watch a lot of that. All right. Anyway. So it sucks that the kids aren't believed by the cops. Most of the cops.
And I'm not watching them because I have to edit the latest episode of the Kaiju Podcast. That's what that looks like. Also, I figured if you dip to the window. Hey everyone, tonight is the Oscars, and I'm not watching them because I have to edit the latest episode of the Kaiju Podcast. That's what that looks like. Also, I figured if you don't feel like watching the Oscars, you can watch me edit. I don't know which is going to be quicker or which is going to be more fun. If you're on my Patreon page, patreon.com/casinoskunk, and if you're subscribed to the $1 tier, which unlocks every single one of the podcasts that I've done for that page, you'll be able to watch that live stream now. So head over to patreon.com/casinoskunk and watch me edit the Kaiju Podcast episode that's coming out tomorrow called Blob. And hit me up with questions over there and distract me from doing this work that I should be finished by tomorrow. So check that out. I'm live on Patreon, on YouTube. I don't know if you can see that. So patreon.com/casinoskunk. It's $1. You'll get at least 43 episodes. 40 episodes. I don't know. Head over there. I'm live. I'm going to be bored by myself. So stop by. Send questions. Bye.
Dave seems to think that something to the cops. Dave seems to think that something. Dave seems to think that. Dave seems to think that something is up, but the story's kind of up, but the story's kind of far-fetched. The thing that is, it's frustrating because obviously we are on the kid's side and we know that they've seen something because we've seen it too.
Right.
But then when they go to the doctor's place and they're visited by Mrs. Porter, like that whole scene just frustrates me. Every question that the police have, Mrs. Porter says gives like an alternate version where things can.
Well, I think that's, but yes. That,
and,
well, I think that's, but yes, but that's part. I think that was a thing that kind of essentially. That's part. I think that was a thing that kind of essentially added to suspense. Essentially,
yeah.
from it. The whole that she had an answer for everything, even though we already know the truth of what the situation is. And she also has the funniest line in the thing. As the funniest line in the thing when they say you can't touch anything because this place, we need to come and dust the fingerprints. And she's like, can't they just dust around the fingerprints?
She's a shithead. I hate her. It makes it frustrating. And I mean, that's the point, but I just, I don't like her.
That made me like her.
I don't really have a ton of notes because I've seen this movie so many times I really didn't know what to comment on. I did notice that across the street from the theater is a place called the Bootery.
I need to fix this. Driving me nuts.
What that means? It must just be a place for boots.
Yeah, it must be.
But it was like a really big place.
Young Steve McQueen was pretty charming and funny, I thought.
Yeah, I liked him. Yeah, I liked him. He you could tell, and I might have seen this on a commentary or something, where he would try to kind of slump his back and kind of put his hands in his pockets to appear younger.
Yeah.
And I kept an eye on that, and it was kind of fun to watch him acting young. Fun to watch him acting young.
Yeah, he's a good actor. It is cool to watch and see him. It is cool to watch and see him, like the seeds of who he's gonna. See him, like the seeds of who he's going to become, and like this is like one of the jobs on his way up. There's one of the great trivia things I found was that he smoked a lot.
Oh yeah.
And there is a shot in it where he is just holding his cigarette behind his back and you see smoke come up from behind his shoulders.
Oh yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. So this was before all those. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. So this was before all those other movies. This is you said it was one of his first. Coming up. Yeah. I mean, I could just based on this movie, I could see why he would go on to, be a movie star. Be a movie star. He's he's real charming. He really kind of takes command of the movie too. Like every scene he's in, it's like you kind of want to watch him.
Yeah. Well, like, okay, so old guy. like, okay, so old guy gets, you know, guy gets blobbed, and they take him to the doctor. The doctor was great. The doctor, to me, he reminded me of the old Adventures of Superman when when George Reeves was Clark Kent.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
He basically that's his look, that classic old look of the thing. Apparently, that shot from the window. There's a part where they go back and they're trying to go back to the doc's place, and they can't get in. And Steve McQueen's like, I'm gonna try to find a way around. But then he just kind of goes to this area where there's just some trees. Like you don't see any relationship of the building or anything at all. This is like either maybe it was added later or something, some kind of reaction shot, or they just had to shoot it somewhere without the building in evidence. It almost looks like he's gonna go take a whiz in the woods first. And he turns, but then there's that shot from the window where you see the doc, and he kind of like he messes. He's like his blinds are all thing. And apparently that scene was longer and more horrifying, but they cut it because of that.
That's too bad.
There's that shot when the doc is on the phone when he's trying to call like a colleague of his, and through the mirror you see the old guy's blankets going up and down.
I didn't notice. When the Blob shows up, when the doctor grabs a gun and he's shooting at the Blob, and it kind of does this cool thing where it like lights up from the inside. I'm assuming it's from the bullets, I guess. Yes, but I thought it was a kind of a cool effect. I think for the most part, all the Blob effects are cool. There's a couple where it's definitely just the Blob in front of a photo, like a blown up photo of something.
Yeah, right.
Where you get like a flat shadow over, the diner or the movie theater. But I like the animations. There's some, I don't know if it's stop motion or something. Film. Sped up film. There's definitely kind of reverse shots.
They have to do reverse shots. And I think they kind of like would try to like essentially like inflate it or something. To kind of like make it expand a little because it kind of like blows up. The doc and his blows up. The doc and his nurse. Blows up. The doc and his nurse. The doc and his nurse, they try to attack the Blob when it's the little with trichloroacetic acid and then a gun. A lot of people like to point out that trichloroacetic acid is used to treat warts, including genital warts.
Oh.
And chemical peels. I found one place that mentioned genital warts, and then when I saw another place mention genital warts, I was like, oh, apparently people think this is an important detail to know about this particular thing.
I was fine not knowing.
So,
I was just like,
yeah, I know.
It's like some sort of medicine-y thing that chemical that he feels.
The scene in the police station of the three cops. And each cop's got their own little personality. There's the one cop that his job is basically the night shift, and his whole bit is he plays chess. He has a secret chess game going on with another station. And the cop that we don't like, the one that doesn't believe the kids at all, there's a part where he tells Dave, he says, "You got to take up chess, Dave. Loosen up your gray matter a little."
Yeah, there's a lot of 50s speaking here.
Yeah, there is. When they come back to the doctor's office and the lights are out, and I was like, "What? The Blob turned the lights out?"
But that happens like everywhere. It happened in the supermarket as well. It must, I guess.
Oh, my favorite 50 speak in the movie is the one where they come upon the chunks of meteorite that are broken, and the character known as Mooch.
Yeah.
He says, "You mean this little pebble's been out there hot rodding around the universe?"
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, the creepy part is when those teenage boys are talking about that they're going to the midnight spook flicks.
Yeah.
Because there's some unprotected girls in the balcony.
Yeah.
Cut to the next time we see them. Cut to the next time we.
Hey everyone, tonight is the Oscars. I'm going to try this again since my last video was like way out of sync. So tonight is the Oscars, and I'm not watching them. I have to edit the Kaiju Podcast. Tomorrow it's going to go up at 5 a.m. Pacific time, and I just started doing it. So if you want to watch this instead of the Oscars, it's happening at my Patreon at patreon.com/CasinoSkunk. It's part of the $1 tier. So if you're one of the people that have subscribed to the $1 tier, you can get all of my podcasts that I've ever published before on Patreon. I think I have about 40 episodes. And then, check out this live stream. Right now, there's nobody joining me. So if you were to join me, ask me questions, distract me from doing my work. Other than that, I don't know. Enjoy the Oscars, I guess. Yeah, we'll see which is more boring. I'm pretty sure the Oscars are going to be more boring than watching me sitting here edit a podcast that was recorded like a month ago. All right, see you there. That's getting too small.
And they're in the balcony with their arms around these girls.
And then an old guy telling them to shut up.
There's funny old guys in this movie. There's funny old guys in this movie. What about the old guy who gets when they run the siren? He puts on his helmet.
He said that's an air raid siren. He puts on his military helmet. But then he hears a fire truck and puts on his
and he switches his helmet. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a 30-second bit, and I don't know if he shows up ever again.
That is a small town. And I was like, yeah, it could have been just the old guy from the beginning again.
Yeah. What's funny, what cracks me up is so when the kids are hot rodding at the beginning. kids are hot rodding at the beginning of the movie, and Steve passes up Mooch and Alan or whatever, and those guys. And those guys. The other guys tell Steve that they could beat him in the drag race going backwards.
Right.
And so I assumed that meant your car is so slow that my car can go backwards faster than yours could go forwards.
Uh-huh. I'm sure that's what that meant.
But then they both drive backwards in the race.
Well, that was him. I don't know, somehow flipping.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott. Yeah, I didn't realize that the Patreon didn't have that chat. Can you hear me? Can you hear everything that's going on, by the way?
And also, it's like, I wasn't quite sure what his whole plan was, because like, he's looking at the light change.
Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Sorry. I have a friend who will respond to tweets by text messaging. And so, of course, I post a tweet that says I'm going live on the internet, and he decides to call. Like, dude, come on. Seriously? So really, this is kind of boring. But I figured I'm sitting here by myself. Stevie's at a baby shower, and I have to edit the show. Usually I like to edit the Kaiju Podcast a little bit earlier, but here I am the night before scrambling to get it done. I'm only 23 minutes into the episode, and it's about a 40-minute long recording. So I've whittled down about 2 minutes of stuff. And usually with the Kaiju Podcast, all I do is cut out any time like we say or both Jorge and I kind of stutter our words a lot. And so I'll cut out that stuff too. But yeah, so I figured I'm sitting here bored. Everyone else is watching the Oscars, which I have no interest in seeing. I really only care about the film score category. And then, so I figured, let me do a live stream just so I could figure out how it works. I've never done a live stream on Patreon, which is essentially just going through YouTube, which I have a YouTube page, and it's just an unlisted YouTube link. So now I know how to live stream because you're hearing me. I don't know if you're able to hear the actual podcast that I'm editing, but yeah. But yeah, if you don't want to stay, don't worry about it. Did you say you liked Into the Spider-Verse? I never saw Into the Spider-Verse. It comes out on Tuesday on iTunes. I may purchase it sight unseen because I heard it's that good. But I mean, people were talking about Baby Driver like it was the greatest thing ever, and I think Baby Driver is I know that Baby Driver is my least favorite Edgar Wright movie. So it's just I don't know. Since I didn't see it in the movies, I can probably just drop the $20 because I may have bought a ticket. The thing is, I'm not the biggest Spider-Man fan. I don't really care for the character that much. I didn't really read Spider-Man growing up. I watched Spider-Man and his Super Friends. What was that show? The cartoon I watched, which had Spider-Man, Human Torch, Iceman, and I'm forgetting somebody else. Amazing Friends. Kirk is in it. Yeah, so I watched that, and so I'm not the biggest Spider-Man fan, but maybe I'll buy it. And then with all right, let's do a podcast. Usually, what ends up happening is Kevin will send me a text and he'll be like, "Hey, do you want to record tomorrow?" And I'll say, "Sure." So he's got a kind of a crazy schedule. My schedule is crazy, but I'm available all day. It's just I work night times. So yeah, it's actually easier to schedule with Jorge, I think, than with Kevin, because Jorge has a lot of days off, and I have the whole day off. So Starfire. I thought it was Starfire, but isn't Starfire a DC character? Because I wanted to say Starfire. Who's in Titans? That's Starfire, right? Is Starfire is this a character from Marvel? Yeah, I don't. I mean, we're all sitting on a fucking device that could look it up, but none of us feel like it. That's awesome. Hey, want to see what Stevie got me for my birthday? It's her Bitmoji coming out of a toilet on a shirt. What is this? Wikipedia. I'm afraid to open up this other link. I don't want to bust out this live stream. Okay, hold on. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, developed by Stan Lee. Firestar. Sure. Oh, so it wasn't the Human Torch. I guess they wanted a girl on the crew. Yeah. So wait, I was asking, can you guys hear the podcast? Here, hold on.
Somehow to get them to the other side of the intersection to do, yeah.
It was weird.
And then the cops showed up. So then we didn't. That whole thing ended up just not happening.
But it's a good thing the cops were confused too, because it let me know I wasn't alone.
So here, I'm going to show you what I do to the Kaiju Podcast. This is how it sounds. So listen to this.
Good thing the cops were confused too, because it let me know I wasn't alone.
Long pause.
So
long pause.
Okay. There's also the other.
So I get rid of all of that stuff, and I know when Jorge is about to say based on the waveform. I've gotten so used to editing out the ums. So what I'll do is I'll clip this, slide it over, and now it'll sound. Oh, hold on, I want to do one more thing. So now that whole long thing that you just heard will sound like this.
Cops were confused too, because it let me know I wasn't alone.
Okay, so there's also the old man's dog who shows up, disappears, shows up, disappears. I was like, is this a continuity problem? And they had to like they're like, oh, how do we deal with the fact that we don't have the dog?
So this is another thing I do. We both have a lot of redundancies. I don't know if I would call it a stutter, but listen to this on Jorge.
Problem, and they had to they're like, oh, how do we deal with the fact that we don't have the dog in these middle scenes?
Okay.
Or what? Because
wait, did I miss the part? Where? Uh-oh.
And they had to they're like, oh, how do we deal with the fact?
So he says they had to like they're like. So.
And they had to they're like, oh, how do continuity problem? And they had to they're like, oh, how do we deal with the fact?
So I'm gonna take. Hold on.
Problem, and they had to they're like, oh, how do we deal with the fact that?
Oh man, this is tough.
Continuity problem, and they had to they're like, oh, how do we deal?
Okay, so I'm gonna take out all the likes. So they had to.
Continuity problem, and they had to they're like, oh, how do we?
Okay, hold on. It's tough because I know you guys are watching. Hold on.
Continuity problem, they're like, oh, how do we deal with the fact that we don't have the dog?
So that's where we took out all the likes, and so now it sounds like this.
Problem, they're like, oh, how do we deal with the fact that we don't have the dog in these mill scenes?
Yeah.
Or what? Because it wasn't enough. But there's like, oh, that dog's gone again. Like they feel like they had to like throw these lines in.
Yeah, and then there was a point where we thought the dog.
Okay, so now I'm doing it, where I say, so now there's a point where, and I do it again. So
yeah, and then there was a point where we thought the dog got.
So I'm going to take out that second where. I'm going to slide this over that big pause that I left, and now it's going to sound like this.
Yeah, and then there's a point where we thought the dog got eaten by the blob.
Right.
And then we find out from the.
So that's what I'm doing. So this is a 40-minute episode. It's going to take me about, I don't know, a couple hours. Usually it takes me about 3 hours from the time I start editing till the time I actually finish the artwork and post it or schedule it to post tomorrow at 5. So it's a process and it's boring. And here I am on another Sunday night doing this. But I like the show. I think the show's good. So yeah, I'm going to keep at it. I can kind of see when you guys post stuff. So I don't know if I said bye to Scott or if he's still here, but bye, Scott. So keep this on. If you have any questions, I'll see it pop up and I'll answer as we go. But yeah, right now, just kind of going for it.
The blob.
Right.
And then we find out from the guys, Mooch and the gang, that.
Once again, listen to me stutter.
Right.
And then we find out from the guys, Mooch and the gang.
From the guys, Mooch and the gang.
We find out from the guys.
I'm gonna take out guys.
Guys, Mooch.
I'm gonna leave Mooch in the gang. And so we find out from Mooch and the gang.
Then we find out from the Mooch and the gang that this.
So there we go. This is the kind of shit you don't get to hear. What's funny is I don't edit the all right, let's do a podcast. I drop in music before and after, and then just throw that out there. So yeah. And then what's nice is if there's a movie that me and Jorge absolutely love and we want to talk about it, there's less editing to do. So that's cool. What's funny is listening. You're saying Ralphception. What's funny about listening to these podcasts back is I'll laugh at Jorge the same way while I'm listening to it as the podcast. So it'll be like synchronized laugh, and it'll be a lot of times it'll be like the same amount of excitement as far as my laugh goes. So it'll be like two, or it'll be like, I don't really laugh super hard, but it's usually in sync, and it's really weird. And then there's stuff. What's the fucking stupidest thing is when I say something that makes me laugh, I feel like an idiot. Like it's weird. It's a weird thing editing these things because I'll just sit there and laugh like I'm so fucking clever.
The gang that they saw the dog running out of the supermarket, so the dog's okay.
Right.
Yeah. Is that what the kid's talking about, William?
Okay. It sounds like I have a whole conversation I need to take out of this episode. So this is the only time you're going to hear this conversation because I don't remember it going anywhere.
Is that what the kid's talking about, William? He wants to name the dog William? What was the kid? No, it wasn't the dog. It was what was that? Her Danny.
Oh, Danny.
Danny's got problems.
Okay.
What was that? Her Danny.
Oh, Danny.
Danny's got
I'm going to cut some shit. I'm going to cut all of that out where I talk about William, because it was something in my notes. And I remember Danny talking about William, but it didn't really make any sense.
Dog's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Jorge wasn't able to confirm what Danny was talking about as far as William's concerned. So I am just going to...
Dog's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Danny.
Danny.
Okay, so I'm going to keep my Danny. I'm going to move it in front of Jorge saying Danny. Okay. And now the show's going to sound like this.
Right.
Yeah. Danny.
Oh, Danny.
Danny's got problems.
So this is...
There's something with Danny that he's just, something's not right.
So, see, it made me laugh at the same time that laughed. So, yeah.
Just, something's not right. I think he needs to loosen up some gray matter.
Loosen up some gray matter? What the fuck does that mean? I've never said that before in my life. It had to have been a reference to something. It had to have been a reference in the movie. Loosen up some gray matter. What the fuck does that even mean? Hold on. I don't know what the... Hold on. What did...
Right. I think he needs to loosen up some gray matter.
Loosen up some gray matter?
Something's not right. I think he needs to loosen up some gray matter.
What? And then we both laugh. It's got to be something from the movie. What the fuck does loosen up the gray matter? Hold on. Gray matter, the blob. Holy shit. Okay, so I just typed in Gray Matter, the Blob. There's a short story by Stephen King called Gray Matter. And in this episode, we talk about the Blob maybe being an influence on Stephen King. So this Gray Matter short says that there's this slowly transforming inhuman blob-like abomination in this short story called Gray Matter. Well, why the fuck would I say loosen some gray matter? I've never said that before in my life. I don't know what that means. It had to have been from the movie. That's really weird. And we both laugh at it. What the fuck? Did I black out while we recorded this? Did someone else take over my body?
Right. I think he needs to loosen up some gray matter.
What the fuck does that mean? It's got to be from the movie. All right.
But
Danny goes down to protect the family. Well, it's because she sneaks out.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's from the movie? Okay. Jesus Christ. I don't remember saying that. I don't remember. I freaked out, but it's weird that we both laughed. So, okay, it's from the movie. Thanks, Kurt.
And so Jane, she sneaks, and so Jane.
So see, this is like what I will take out.
And so Jane.
The thing that sucks about editing when Stevie's here is when I go over that over and over again, where it says, and so Jane, she'll start repeating it, and it drives me nuts because it's like I don't want to sit here and listen to it over and over again. But here, so now it's this. And so Jane, she sneaks out, and so the is gone.
They're like Danny. Danny catches her, so she's like, oh, yeah. And so Danny stands guard on the couch.
Yeah.
Later.
See, Stevie hates this too. When Jorge brings up a point and I just say yeah and don't continue with the conversation.
Stands guard on the couch.
Yeah.
So if you cut those down so she doesn't get mad at me for not engaging Jorge when he brings up a good point.
On the couch.
Yeah.
Later, so the Blob takes over. Danny does the classic movie trope where the Blob, he takes over the movie theater, and then Danny, everyone's running away from the Blob except
Jorge just called the
Danny.
Blob
He comes out of the bushes at the diner, and he starts shooting it with his cap gun.
Yeah.
Until he runs out of caps, and then he throws the gun.
Yep.
Good one, Ralph.
That like.
Okay. I'm going to get rid of that yep, and I'm going to continue my sentence here. Here we go.
He throws the gun.
That like 10-second chunk.
That. Okay.
Like 10-second chunk. That like 10-second chunk.
Okay, so that's going to be gone. And now it's going to sound like so.
Who's the gun?
That 10-second chunk of film.
So, long pause.
Maybe the funniest thing in this movie.
Okay. It's too long of a pause, Ralph. So this whole podcast is a lie, by the way. Me and Jorge don't have these super tight, great conversations. These things get edited to shit. There's some episodes, there's like a Gamma episode. I think it was our first one. It was something like an hour and a half. And Jorge had just like a ton of notes. And it was so hard to edit. These sort of like 40-minute episodes where we're really excited about the movie, where we can just like go and talk and be excited, are the best ones. I'm about 25 minutes in. I shaved off about 3 or 4 minutes of the 40-minute recording. So I really have about 10 minutes to edit, or 10 minutes of audio to edit. And usually the last 10 minutes of the podcast go really quick because we're giving our final thoughts. I'm giving out the info. And then we do our sign off. And sometimes there's a little bit of chatter after that. And usually that chatter I just leave unedited. So I'll leave in all the uhs and the redundant sentences and the repeating and stuff. So usually we're kind of in the home stretch here. We have about 15 minutes left, and we're like 12 minutes left, and probably 10 of that's going to be not even edited. So doing good. I think I don't even know if the Oscars have started yet. Keep me posted. I saw a picture of Kate Blanchett on Twitter. I don't know if it was from this Oscars or a previous one. She was wearing like kind of a jade or aqua like flower dress. Oh boy. Yep. Okay.
That 10-second chunk of film may be the funniest thing in this movie. That kid, because he's wearing the onesie pajamas with the holster.
Okay, so this is where I should have said, if we go to Blobfest, that's what I would wear, is the thing that Danny wears. And I would shoot my cap gun and throw it at people. A big pause here. God, I should have said that.
With the holster. He's wearing the onesie pajamas with the holster.
Okay, with the holster. Ralph, say it once so you don't have to edit it later, dude. I try, I really do. I've been podcasting since 2006, and I'm still stammering over my shit.
Pajamas with the holster. But the thing is, he gets them in.
But the thing is, that is not how you speak. So you are going like this.
Holster. But the thing is, he gets them in trouble. He gets the.
Whoa.
But the thing is, he gets.
Like laugh and talk without any breathing. Let's change that.
with the holster. But the thing is, he gets them in trouble. He ends up getting Steve and Jane stuck in the diner.
Go hide out.
Okay, so this is another thing that happens. Jorge and I talking over each other. So this is what that sounds like.
Steve and Jane stuck in the diner.
Go hide out in the diner.
Okay. So what I do is I do a quick cut here, bring this over, and so we're going to hear what both of us say.
He ends up Steve and Jane stuck in the diner.
Right. Because they got to go hide out in. They got to go hide out in the diner, and the blob just engulfs the diner.
Yeah. So there you go.
And
so there's a lot of times where Jorge and I talk over each other at the same time, and so what I'll do is, whoever's conversation we continue, I pull out the other audio, so it never existed. And it's like we just talk. We're able to talk to each other without speaking over each other. We're the best of friends, and we we know when the other person's going to start and stop, and when the other can continue the conversation. It's also hard because we do the show every episode, except for the Giacchino episode, we've done through Skype, and so there's kind of a bit of a delay. And since we can't see each other face to face, we don't know when the other person's going to start speaking. So there's a lot of times where we talk over each other.
Yeah.
That's right. I said,
yeah.
That was me saying, yeah. Not me in person.
The diner catches on fire.
Yeah.
And so they're like, everyone's looking.
Wait, hold on.
Everyone's looking at the diner on.
That was an O, not a Like I said, I can pick out Jorge's ums.
Everyone's looking at the diner on fire, covered in blob, and they're like,
it's the police officer's fault.
Okay. So once again, we're talking over each other, which means we're excited to talk about this part of the movie. So there's a couple of points here. This one.
Everyone's looking at. Everyone's looking.
So I'm going to take out my well so you can hear what Jorge's saying.
Everyone's looking at the diner on fire, covered in blob, and they're like,
it's the police officer's.
And then me saying it's the police officer.
And they're like,
and they're like. So Jorge's saying, and they're like. And then I'm saying it's the police officer involved. So let's do this.
Blob, and they're like,
it's the police officer's fault.
Okay. So now we're not talking over each other.
It's the police officer's fault because they tried to electrocute. They tried to electrocute the blob.
That went bust real fast.
Yeah,
like a lot of tension.
Okay, so there's a lot going on this one. Me and Jorge talking over each other. I'm stammering my words. I'm saying a couple times in a row. I'm gonna leave it in because I don't want to edit all this because it's just like going to be tedious. It's like cutting and pasting and making a puzzle. And I mean, I guess it's towards the end of the podcast, so I'm just going to leave it in there because we're excited to talk about the climax of the film. So Stevie also told me that just leave it how it is. It's more real. It's how you guys really talk. But I'm like, yeah, I guess, but we're trying to entertain also. And then if I go back and listen to the show, it's going to bother me. So it's one of those things where I feel like once this show is done, it's on the internet forever. So I might as well take the 3 or 4 hours to edit so that it's something good. And also, if anybody finds out that Jorge Garcia from the TV and movies is doing a podcast, I want it to sound good. I don't want it to sound like a fucking hack podcast, which it is. It's just me on my computer and him on his computer, and it doesn't really take much to put this stuff together, but want to make it sound good. Just in case it gets a big following or people, start going back and listening to all that old episodes.
Officer's fault because they tried to electrocute. They tried to electrocute the blob.
That went bust real fast.
Yeah,
like a lot of tension. It's like, it's got, and the guy. I guess that's how you're supposed to like that guy because he's a good shot.
Yeah,
and he shoots the wire.
So this is something where Jorge's on a roll. He's talking a lot. And so I just decided I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let Jorge go. And what happens is he says this whole long thing, and my response is, yeah.
Because he's a good shot.
Yeah.
Because he was going, so I didn't really want to go off that. So I'm going to take out that and bring in him continuing talking, because you can tell when he's excited by his waveforms. They're really close together and big.
And the guy, I guess that's how you're supposed to like that guy, because he's a good shot and he shoots the wire.
Okay, so that's why I said yeah. I took it out, but it's like he doesn't even catch his breath.
That guy, because he's a good shot and he shoots the wire.
So I'm going to add a little more time to that.
Like that guy, because he's a good shot and he shoots the wire. It grazes the blob, and the blob doesn't even flinch. So they're like, oh, all right, that didn't work.
So, like I said, I don't do all this editing for, all right, let's do a podcast. What I will do, though, is I'll do this type of editing for the beginning of the show, I guess the cold open, before me or Kevin says, all right, let's do a podcast, and the music kicks in. So what I'll do is I'll have that. I'll cut that so it's nice and tight, and I'll have the music, and then I come back, and it'll just be a regular conversation, unedited. That way I can turn that around real quick, get it up for you guys. And those podcasts are usually a little bit more time sensitive, because we're talking about a wrestling event that just happened, and we can get our thoughts out quicker. Or if a movie came out like a specific weekend, we can get that out on like a Monday or something. This podcast, we recorded this about a month ago, and we only have 2 episodes left that are recorded. So it's the Blob, which will be up tomorrow, and then in 2 weeks, Space Amoeba. So we're going to have to get in another couple episodes to record. We record 2 at a time, and we want to make sure we get those before we run out. Luckily, we've never run out. I think the least amount of episodes we've had is 1, and that's what we're doing now. Once the Blob comes out, we're going to only have 1 in the can. And if you look at the title descriptions of the episodes for the Kaiju Podcast, you'll see the description like it'll say like episode 54 or 56. The Blob, Ralph and Jorge watched the 1958 movie The Blob, blah, blah, blah. They talk about this. And then there's a date at the end of that description. And that date is when we recorded it. I kind of wanted to keep a record of not just when we posted it, but when we recorded the episodes. So if you look at the track info for any of the Kaiju Podcast episodes, you'll see that date of when we recorded it. I never really made that clear, but that's more for me, just so people can kind of see how we do the show. We first did the show 2 years ago, and I dropped it on, I think, January 2nd or 1st. It was the first Monday of that year. But if you look at the date, it was like the day after Thanksgiving. It was like in the end of November. Me and Jorge decided record 2 at a time, bank up as much as we can, and then release them later. So what's good about this show is that it's not time sensitive. We pretty much stick to just the movie we're talking about. We don't talk about the new Godzilla movie coming out. We don't talk about any kind of news. We don't talk about our weeks. Like, we don't say, oh, this week I went to the doctor's. And then by the time it comes out, it would have been like months ago. So what's good about this show is it's nice little, we just talk about that movie. I mean, we might bring up other stuff, but it's all self-contained. So for those of you that don't listen to every episode, if you happen to watch a kaiju movie, you can go back and find that episode and listen to it and be totally like caught up. It's self-contained. It's not a serialized podcast. It's self-contained. Another thing I like about the way we do the show is I decided to do it every other week. And is that bi-weekly? I think I say it's bi-weekly, but I don't know if bi-weekly means every other week or twice a week. I think it might also be both. But because I didn't want to have to edit every week, our schedules are a little tough, and I'm in California and Jorge's in Hawaii. I knew it would be a little bit more difficult to get episodes out every week. And that's asking a lot of the audience that are watching the movies as the podcast goes. Like, who wants to watch a kaiju movie every week? No one does. So doing it every other week has been really nice. So what happens is Jorge and I record 2 at a time. In one session, we'll record for we'll talk about an hour and a half, 2 hours. We'll bullshit. We'll record the 2 episodes. And that takes care of a month because we're doing it bi-weekly. So Space Amoeba is going to come in a couple weeks. We're going to get a couple episodes recorded then, and that'll take care of March into April. And then we'll record 2 more, and it'll take us that'll take care of April/May. And so we already have it planned out where we're going to be recording an episode for the 2014 Godzilla soon, so that we can have that released in early May. And then this is where the tricky thing happens. At the end of that episode, which we're going to be recording in a month or so, at the end of that episode, we'll say our next episode will be Godzilla King of the Monsters. So in preparation for knowing that we're going to drop that episode right before that movie comes out. So once that movie comes out on a Friday, we'll have 2 days to record and me edit and get it up on the following Monday, because Godzilla King of the Monsters comes out 3 days before an episode week. So it's going to be a stressful 2 days, making sure that A, we get a chance to see the movie, and then B, get it recorded, and then it's me on Sunday getting it done by Sunday so I could do all this editing before the Monday show. But it's fun. We did it with Kong Skull Island, where we recorded an episode months in advance and said our next episode 7 will be Kong Skull Island. Look forward to that in a couple of weeks. And then we recorded episode 8, 9, and 10 and those, and Kong Skull Island was still sitting there unrecorded. And luckily we recorded Kong Skull Island, and that was supposed to be a 3-day turnaround. Kong Skull Island was supposed to come out Friday, and then the following Monday was a show Monday. But Kong Skull Island got pushed up a week, I think. And so we ended up having a week and a couple days before we had to release that episode. But as of right now, Godzilla King of the Monsters is slated for Friday, right before a show Monday. And so we've decided we're going to do it. We're going to see the movie, and we're going to record that weekend, and I'm going to edit and get it up 4 days after the show. So the show shows up. So you'll see the dates on those on the track info. It'd be like we recorded in April, then King of the Monsters will be May 20, whatever it comes out is when we record it. And then the next episode will be like in April. So it'll be interesting. It's we're both prepared for it. We're both ready. And that's where the bonus episodes come in. Like, we didn't want to have to do this juggling with Pacific Rim 2. So we had our regular episodes as it was. We saw Pacific Rim whenever we saw it. We recorded, I edited, and I dropped it in a non-show Monday. And that was considered a bonus episode. So we'll do that. But we don't want to make King of the Monsters a bonus episode. We want to get it on a show Monday. It's going to be some juggling. It's fun. All right. I'm at 25:58. So we're 26 minutes in, and I've shaved down about 4 minutes of stuff. So we're at about 10 minutes left in the show.
And they're in there, and they're in the diner, and the smoke's coming in, and it's Steve and
So here's this. It's
coming in, and it's Steve and Jane.
So I'm gonna get rid of the it's because this isn't scripted. We're trying to compose our thoughts, but we're doing a podcast, so we're composing our thoughts through our mouth, and we sort it out. So now it's gonna be
It's coming in, and it's Steve and Jane.
It's Steve. How about it's Steve?
And it's Steve and Jane, and
so all that it's is gone. Ooh, it's that sounds good. I want to it right now.
And it's Steve and Jane and Danny and the owner of the diner. They're stuck, and then there's a part where they're like going, Danny, just go to sleep.
Look at I laughed at the same time, the same way, because it was funny. It was the exact whatever Jorge's reaction was or sentence was made me react the exact same way.
Danny, just go to sleep. Yeah, it's like, oh, maybe you can sleep through smoke inhalation.
Yeah.
Inhalation.
Yeah. But I mean, the fact that it catches on fire is ultimately helpful because it means they grab the fire extinguisher.
How long have I been doing this for? An hour and 14 minutes. I wonder if this saves. I wonder if this is something that you can watch later on Patreon. Be interesting. I wonder if anyone would want to. I have no idea if you guys are entertained at all, or if you're just in here just to make me feel good. But either way, it beats hanging out with this dumb kitty cat over here. Hi, Vesper. Kitty. Stevie got new covers for the bed, and it's yellow. We no longer have the orange covers. We've always gotten orange covers, and now we have yellow. So the bed of orange is no more. Now it's Dharma Large yellow.
Established a little bit early on, but they didn't really spell it out for you, is that the Blob is
averse to cold. Yes,
because they were stuck in the meat locker.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool how that kind of tied.
Yeah, we're coming down to the end of this because.
So that's kind of cool how that kind of ties up.
You can tell we're kind of excited. We're always excited to talk about the climaxes of these movies because that's usually when all the big action stuff happens, like when Godzilla shows up or when the two monsters fight, or it's the big climax. You build to that ending, so we get more excited and animated. So that's another reason why it's easier to edit these parts
up. And then Steve's able to figure it out, and then he tells Dave that he needs to go get more fire extinguishers.
Is gone
to go get more fire extinguishers, and so the old guys and the teenagers.
Decomposing my thought. Show her to
teenagers band together to go get more extinguishers. So they're.
I don't need to say extinguishers again because they already established that they're going to get extinguishers.
Band together to go get more. So they're able to set aside their difference of being old and being kids to help each other out.
Right. Yeah. This is when they all come together.
Okay, I'm getting a text from Stevie. On my way home, I will drop off Jocelyn and come home afterwards. Okay, drive safe. Love you. Are you hungry? I am and could use a break from editing. So we'll see if I can I don't think I'm going to beat Stevie home So this may end a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Together. And the principal.
And the principal.
And the principal.
So I'm going to change that to and. And the principal.
And the principal.
Okay, that's better. Cut out that. Bring this.
Principal. He's I know there's a lot of extinguishers at the school, and he goes to school. He doesn't have
his key.
His key.
Tighten that up a little bit. He doesn't have his key.
Doesn't have
his key.
His key, and he goes. And
I'm gonna take out his key.
Doesn't have his key, and he goes and he looks and he grabs a rock, and I was like, when was the Heine key invented? Like he had it all.
I didn't think about that.
But
I didn't think about that.
But he just ends up breaking it.
I don't know if you guys are still listening, but on Tuesday, I have to go to the doctor's. I'm going to be talking to a surgeon because I have not one, but 2 hernias in my abdomen. So we're going to go there, and I'm going to do the consult, and I should be having surgery soon after that. I'm kind of bummed that I haven't gotten more content out for you in February, but it's February is the worst month. First of all, it's short. Second of all, Stevie's birthday is the 10th. Valentine's Day is right between her birthday and mine, which is the 18th. And there's just so much time. There's so much going on, and I haven't had time to do some stuff. I wanted to do the lightsabers and leitmotifs episode 2 this month, but I am dreading doing that episode because there's only 2 new themes. John Williams doesn't do the leitmotif. He does a basic score. The last reel of the movie has pretty much all music from episode 1. The soundtrack, they never released like a deluxe version, and the soundtrack is really short, probably because there's so much reused music from episode 1. It's just, there's nothing for me to talk about. I can talk about the love theme forever, but that's going to be shitty. So I've been trying to rack my brain to think of a way to make that show be longer than 10 minutes. But I mean, maybe I'll just make it 10 minutes. Once I get through that, episode 3 is great. Episode 7, Rogue One, episode 8, and Solo, all great scores. John Powell just won some film music award for his work on Solo, which is great. I think it's a great score. So I will get that. We'll see if I get that to Tuesday, pushing it on February. Hopefully this live stream is somewhat enough to entertain. Hopefully I can save it. If not, maybe I can edit the good bits where I'm talking and addressing you guys, edit that down and put it up on Patreon, so people that aren't here now watching this can still kind of get the good stuff in there. I don't know, Kirk, where your hernia is. Mine is in my abdomen. I can feel it. There's a big hard spot. I don't know where the second one is. I guess I'll find out on Tuesday. But I'm not in pain. If I push on it, it hurts. When I bend over and put on my shoes, it hurts. But they've been putting me on the scrubber lately at work, which is a driving machine that goes and picks up water and scrubs out dirt. So I've been doing that. I haven't been pulling the hose. I have a 20-pound limit to what I can lift. The thing is, the scrubber, it drives around. It goes about 8 miles per hour. There's no windshield, and we've been getting into the high 30s around here. So you have this, 7 mile per hour breeze in your face all night for 8 hours, from 11:30 to 8 a.m. So it's been kind of tough being at work, but I bundle up. I wear my scarf like that Mortal Engines girl, and then I'm super cold. All right, let's see if we can beat Stevie. I'm gonna try to. I have 10 minutes left, and Stevie's on her way home from Irvine, California, which is pretty far.
Into the school, which is
it's a reversal.
Oh man, the principal.
Yeah.
So we're talking over each other.
It's a reversal.
Oh man, the principal.
Yeah.
So I like both things that we say. So I'm gonna have Jorge say his first. T. I'm gonna slide this over.
School, which is
And the thing is, like, for the last 2 months or last month or so, since I got the hernia, I've had Weird Al Yankovic's "Living with a Hernia" stuck in my head like every day. I love that song, and now I like, I don't know. It means more to me in my old age.
It's like, oh man, the principal.
It's a reversal of roles. Yeah.
Ooh, reversal of roles. This roles sound good. Hopefully Stevie wants to go out to dinner because I'm starving. So,
like a reversal of roles.
You totally did that. And then they bring all this stuff. The solution is to then take it in like a helicopter.
Oh yeah, Jorge's already done. He's at the end. So
to then take it in like a helicopter and drop it in the Arctic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's something weird that I noticed, and now that I'm thinking about it, it is even.
Not engaging Jorge's stuff. Steve's gonna hate that. Let's bring it down. Oops. And there. And oh shit, we talk about a Blob sequel. So we're not almost done.
Drop it in the Arctic.
Here's something weird that I noticed, and now that I'm thinking about it, it is even more weird. The movie theater has a banner on the front that says "healthfully air conditioned."
What am I getting at? Oh.
Which is strange. I'm assuming that just means like it's a filtered air conditioner or something. I don't know what that means.
Oh, he's talking about the ending, and now you're talking about the air conditioning.
That means, but it must not be on at the Midnight Spook Show because the Blob wouldn't want to be in there.
Midnight Spook Show.
There, if it was air conditioned.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's extreme cold. I think the Blob can handle. Yeah. I mean, it's out at night.
Yeah. And then the last line of this movie. This movie, Dave's talking to Steve. This movie, Dave's talking to Steve about it being the military sending it up. Military sending it up to the Arctic.
Yeah.
And
yeah, go on.
Yeah.
And it should be good there. And Steve says, yeah, as long as the Arctic stays cold. is foreboding. Because we see on the news all the time now.
Oh, yeah.
Like
That's the I moment of present day.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no.
We're ready for a remake now, right? Like that's how you start the remake, or not a remake, a sequel.
There is
a sequel.
I think there is some stuff that's like old ice on the planet.
Old ice. I don't remember this conversation.
Ice on the planet can release old germs.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. I should have said, tell me more about this old ice.
Germs,
uh-huh.
Like prehistoric germs, possibly. I think that is something to. I don't think we're gonna get a blow, but that is definitely something.
I'm just looking for a sequel to the Blob. I'm just looking for a sequel to the original Blob.
Oh,
the original Blob.
Or sequel to the. For a sequel to the original Blob. Looking for a sequel to the original Blob.
Oh, good luck. There is one.
But is it a sequel? I haven't seen the 88 one.
This is where I find out that there's a sequel to The Blob, one of my favorite movies ever. Oh, shit. I'm supposed to do that movie challenge thing, and I keep forgetting. All right, hold on. So for those of you following me on Twitter, I'm going to post the next movie challenge thing. I don't think I did it yesterday. I fucking suck at this. I was doing so well. Tweets and replies. Two days ago. Oh, fuck. All right, here comes the next one. I only have like two more, too. This is from the movie CQ. And then my final one, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. It's going to be Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I know, spoiler. I knew that'd perk you up. I was thinking about that the other day. Every time I hear spoiler, I think spoiler. My old hard drive with the Dharmalars episodes on it. It took me a while to get those off of there, but every Scott and Steve episode with Craig and Dylan is on that hard drive as well. I should seriously consider grabbing that and maybe putting those on the old Dharmalars feed. I'll send a message to Craig and Dylan and see if that'd be cool. Don't get too excited because it's going to take a lot of work to do that. A lot of work. So, but I have them. They're still around. I don't think they're on the internet anymore. But shit. Fucking love that show. Palmer Eldritch. Kablamo. Fuck, I'm old. Okay.
Seen the 88 one.
No, not the 88 one. There's the one that was called, I think it's called Beware the Blob.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, if someone has a copy of those, I will get them on the internet for everybody to listen to. I'll put them on the old Dharmalars feed on as the original dates that they were released. So that if you go back far enough on the Dharmalars, you can hear those old episodes. But I just need to get my hands on them. So.
Oh my gosh! I did. When was it made? Okay.
1972. 1972.
Oh shit! I've been doing all this work. I haven't saved it since like the beginning. Oh my god! Can you imagine if I sat here and did all this shit? I've been doing this live stream for an hour and a half, and I was editing about a half hour before I started. So I'm about 2 hours in of editing, which is going to be a 35-minute podcast.
Directed by Larry Hagman.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. So we talk over each other, and I perform my what over Jorge's So I'm going to get rid of Jorge's What's this?
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't this fun, guys? You're going to be able to listen to this tomorrow at 5 a.m. Pacific time. Just go to kaijupod.com or go to kaijupodcast.com. I never mentioned that. I always talk about Kaiju Pod on the show, but I never mentioned that I also have kaijupodcast.com. And it takes you to the same place. So bookmark it. Visit kaijupodcast.com and you'll be able to see the movies before we do our episodes. I post those on our non-show Mondays. And you can look at our album notes so you can see when we record the episodes. Like I said, it's that date right at the end. So Son of Godzilla and Super Inframan, we recorded on January 2nd, 2019, and those went up on February 11th and January 28th. So those are pretty close. Yeah, pretty close to 20 days between recording and posting on those two. So it's pretty close. It's getting dark. I just looked at the live stream. It's starting to get dark outside. I have this light behind me, which is awful. I have another light over there. My Fireball Island's sitting right there, unplayed. I haven't played it yet. I tried to get a game going with Giacchino and my friend Sean. Giacchino's also my friend too. But Giacchino is he's busy until May. And then he said it's super complicated. He said it's way complicated. So I'm a little anxious to sit down and just play it. Stevie wants to play it, but it's daunting. And I just don't want to try the two-person version. I want to set aside a night where I can sit down, lay it all out, set it all up, go over the rules, and really make a thing of it. Yeah, I'll get to Fireball Island eventually. So bright. I guess it's fine how it was. And then I take out my glasses so you can see my eyes instead of reflection of the screen.
Hagman.
What?
Yeah.
So usually when I do these editing sessions, Steve's in the front room watching Gilmore Girls. I'll get up and I'll go get something to drink. I'll stall for time. So anytime you hear me talking to you instead of editing, that's usually me standing up and going around. I could probably edit one of these shows in about an hour, but this has been like 2 hours because it's so tedious. It's so tedious. It's my least favorite part of doing podcasts is doing all this shit.
Yeah.
So this is pre-Dynas or Dallas. Dallas. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
How do I not know about that? I know about the 88 blob.
So usually what happens is when I'm done, I save it and then I let it kind of sit there for a while. Me and Steve will go get something to eat. But have to do the artwork. I have to upload it and schedule it to post tomorrow. That whole part, creating the artwork, depending on the movie, is really easy to do. That little 9-grid thing. Figured it's a nice, easy way to do artwork for the show. Keep it uniform. Always do the 9-panel sort of rectangular Brady Bunch thing with the title in the middle. And then if there's stuff me and Jorge talk about specifically that we want people to see, I put it in that because it allows people to reference it instead of having to go hunting through a bunch of pictures or scrubbing through some video or anything like that. So I like that. That's worked out too. That's something that came up right out of the gate from our very first show, was that 9-grid album artwork. And it's kind of based on, so when I do all right, let's do a podcast artwork, I'll plop in like the whatever subjects we're talking about, like if it's Evil Dead and wrestling, and I'll do that. So I decided I want it uniform. I want to make sure every episode has the same artwork layout. And I based it off of our first episode that we did movie-wise with Shin Godzilla. So I did a screenshot of Shin Godzilla's title card, plopped that on there, and then created the rest of it based on that center thing. So what's cool is you get the nice wide image in the middle for the title, which is good if the movie's in Toho scope. If it's King Kong, where it's square, I have to somehow expand it out so it fits that rectangle. And then you have the rectangle above and below, which is nice for like wide shots. So if it's Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, you could have Godzilla versus King Ghidorah up there and you could see that battle. And then another wide shot of some kind of, nice shot. And then the squares on the side, you can just highlight things like in Super Inframan, our last episode, on one of the panels, I have a guy laying on the floor with his legs spread up and you can see holes in his crotch. And so I like put that in the square. I don't need a wide angle for that. So that's how I do that. I don't know where we were. I'm just going to slide this over.
Was it Chuck Russell directed that?
Well, when we were talking about doing the
okay.
Directed that?
Well, when we were talking about doing the Blob for this, I had remembered seeing the Blob, thinking it was the Blob, but it turned out thinking it was the Blob, but it turned out I had seen Beware the Blob, because I was like, is this the one that ends with a frozen blob? Ends with
long pause. The frozen blob is now
the one that ends with a frozen blob. But spoiler alert. This is the one that ends with a frozen blob and the lights start melting. And you said no. I don't. And you said no, I don't remember that. And so then I was looking up that scene, because that was the first time I ever saw a movie that ended with a question mark. Not knowing that there's a whole other Blob before that ended with a question mark. I was like one of these afternoon Elvira shows, and she did like a bit where she reaches her hand into like a bowl of Jello, like it's the Blob. Yeah.
Oh man.
So in the credits for Beware the Blob, which obviously we're gonna have to get to at some point, there is one of the writers is Richard Clare, who basically he has the story. He basically wrote He was one of the guys who wrote the story, which was a chip off the old Blob.
Okay, I'm going to try to show you something here. I have to swing my whole thing over. Look at this little one. Hi, kitty. Hi. Are you enjoying the podcast? Yeah? Let me see your face. Kitty, let me see your face. Let me see your face. Hi. Oh, you're so adorable. Little stretchy girl. That's Vesper. She's 10 years old. She's an old lady. Oh, yeah. Speaking of the Fireball expansion packs, I got them because I needed it. I mean, Fireball Island is like my favorite board game ever. And by far, leaps and bounds. And I had to get it. It was like a little bit of a difference between, it was like, what, $40 or something for the expansions or something. I ended up spending like $150. But it fucking looks cool. But I want to sit down with Jorge, Sean, and Giacchino and just get a game going, because Jorge is really good about reading rule books and kind of moderating games, so it'll be easier to play that way. I just want to sit back and play and have fun, as opposed to sitting there with the rules trying to figure it all out. Like, he can figure it all out, and sit back and just enjoy. So, Kirk, come to California and come play Fireball Island with us.
Blob.
Ah, I like that title.
So maybe it's a piece of Blob. Yeah. So yeah, right. Piece of Blob. So yeah, right. That thing about yeah, as long as the heart stays frozen.
I mean, I would, like Fireball Island, I would take the original cards and play the original rules, but on the new board, I think would be fun too. Just to kind of get used to the board. But the rules, I read through the rule book, and boy, oh boy, it sounds complicated.
All right.
Also, there's some people who the Blob as it.
So this part I say all right, like I'm wrapping it up, but Jorge's got more to say, and who am I to not let him finish? So
also, there's some people who the Blob as an allegory for communism.
Okay.
That's me being confused, saying okay. Because what the fuck?
Communism?
Okay.
Have you heard of this at all?
No.
The people involved with the Blob pretty much don't deny that was never part of it. But people were kind of like reading into the Blob, which is this big red menace.
Oh.
And you can't destroy it. All you can do is just try and freeze it. Is it? And also, yeah. And also, yeah, and so like dropping it off in the Arctic, which is kind of like Siberia and stuff like that. There was all kinds of like different things. By the way, when I was like, when I was going down the rabbit hole of the Blob as communism, I came across, there's so many Wikipedia. There's so many Wikipedias out there, and so many modified Wikipedias out there. Like I was like, one point I had looked up and I came across there's a creationist Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
What is he talking about? Creationists?
Where when you look up, I did it when I was Googling dinosaurs that had feathers. And they have whole articles about how those are like essentially red herrings or whatever. And then this is another one where this led me to where the blob is communism led me to a Wikipedia that's just conservative Wikipedia. Media.
Okay.
With all kinds of
Should I be leaving this conservative Wikipedia in? Are they like Scientologists? Are they going to come get me?
With all kinds of quote unquote conservative values, and all their articles are modified based on that. And it got a little dark.
All right. This is weird.
That. And it got a little dark scrolling through those pages. But yeah.
I feel like it's just a blob.
I made myself laugh.
I feel like it's just a blob. It doesn't mean anything.
It's a formidable.
Opponent.
Steve, you ever respond to me? Okay, drive safe, love you, hungry. I can use a break from editing. Just never responded. Hopefully she's not dead, because that would be heinous. But she's a good driver. She's not going to answer my text while she's driving. So good. She's being safe, even though she has Bluetooth and could narrate her or dictate her text message replies. Anyway.
You can't shoot it.
Should have brought the question about the Blob versus Godzilla. Can you imagine how big the Blob would get if it consumed Godzilla? Why don't I talk about this shit on the show? I'm awful.
You can't shoot it. You can't go grab an axe. They tried burning it with chemicals.
Okay, I need to go turn on the front room light because it's getting dirty here. I forgot I already did that.
Burning it with fire? With fire? Yeah, and they try electrocuting it. Like they try a lot. Try a lot.
Yeah, they shoot at it.
Yeah, it's cool. Now I'm interested in seeing Beware the Blob, because now that you know that it just needs to be frozen, you know. And how long did it rampage for?
Premise says a technician brings a frozen specimen of the original Blob back from the North Pole. When his wife accidentally defrosts the thing, it terrorizes the populace, including the local hippies, kittens, and bowlers.
Oh no. Kittens.
Kittens. Kittens. It's because he had a dog in the first one.
I guess so. Well, we're gonna have to track that down.
Yeah,
I'll add it to the list.
Oh, I need to add that to the list. Where are the Blob?
But yeah,
and I've never seen the '80s Blob.
Either have I.
So right now, I am going to kaijupod.com or kaijupodcast.com. I am going to the Kaiju film list, and I'm going to add, let's see, Beware the Blob, 1972. So go down here, 1972. Beware of the Blob. Oh, beware the Blob. Beware! Exclamation point. The Blob. 1972. I'm going to see if this is available online. Beware the Blob. Archive.org. So it looks like Jonas Grumby, which is a funny name because that's the name of the skipper from Gilligan's Island, Jonas Grumby, has posted on archive.org the entire film of Beware the Blob, which you can, Beware the Blob, here. Which you can now watch on kaijupod.com by going to the Kaiju film list. So just like that, you guys are all set to watch Beware the Blob. So maybe we'll get to that soon. Sweet. Back to editing. Stevie's still not home.
Fun, at least.
Long pause, edit. Isn't this a fun way to celebrate a Sunday? I have a day. It's my first day off of the week. I have Sunday nights and Monday nights off. But since I worked Saturday night into Sunday morning, I worked today until 8 and woke up at about 3-ish, took a shower, and started farting around on the internet.
I think it does more like you get to see like more of the devouring and stuff. It's more like
yeah, you know what? I may have seen like GIFs or something other where it's like you see like it's like you see like melted skin. In other words, like it's like you see like melted skeletons like that or something. Don't you? Yeah, that's cool.
Cool.
I'm into that.
Me too.
All right. It sounds like I'm about to wrap it up, guys.
Me too. So since we watched the first one, that opens up for the rest of them. So
3 more, 2 more. Yeah.
So if you have a problem with this episode,
skip it.
Yeah. There's a couple more that you can skip. I love it. I love this movie, and I look forward to seeing the sequel. I didn't know existed. So
Cool. Let's wrap this up. We've got about 3 minutes left of editing or of audio to edit, and it's gonna be pretty easy.
Existed. Cool. You want to talk about next episode?
We didn't put it in our top 5. I didn't even bring up the top 5, but I mean, it's the Blob. So
next episode,
sure.
Ashira Honda's Space Amoeba.
Yeah.
So our next episode after the Blob is Space Amoeba, which is already recorded. As soon as Jorge and I finished recording this episode, we went and recorded that one. So
Space Amoeba.
Yeah.
Excited to talk about Space Amoeba. And definitely.
So I'll get to do this again in a couple weeks. I'll have to look at my calendar and make sure I'm not doing anything.
And yeah, definitely. I don't think anyone will have a problem with Space Amoeba.
By the way, are you watching the Oscars? What's happening? Is Kate Blanchett wearing that flower dress, the kind of aqua blue flower dress? Because, oof.
Space Amoeba, as far as
oh yeah, it's right up. Yeah, right.
So until then, you can go to kaijupod.com.
I don't like that, Ralph. Get out of the podcast.
Right.
So until then, you can go to kaijupod.com, and we have our links to our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and YouTube, and you'll be able to watch Space Amoeba over there on Amazon Prime, which is how I watched it.
By the way, watch Space Amoeba. You get a chance.
Which is how I watched it. And yeah. Until next time. I'm going to go catch the Midnight Spook Fest.
Oh, cool. I'm just...
Spook Fest.
Oh, cool. I'm just gonna kind of like pick up some things and sniff them. Did you notice the amount of they pick up the meteorite, they give it a sniff.
Mm-hmm.
Steve McQueen keeps sniffing the meteorite piece. He picks up like the rifle. He's sniffing the rifle. I was like, there's a lot of sniffing going on in this movie.
The senses are heightened.
He's part Bassett.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, and that's the end of the episode. So what I'm going to do is I'll put the first part, this part you weren't here for when I started the live stream. I put the first part of the Blob song at the beginning of the episode, and then I'm going to play the rest of the Blob song at the end of the episode. Because who doesn't love listening to the Blob? So there's geese outside honking. So let's move this here. Move that there.
Is how I watched it. And yeah, that's it. Until next time, I'm going to go catch the Midnight Spook Fest.
Oh, cool. I'm just going to kind of like pick up some things and sniff them. Did you notice the amount of they pick up the meteorite, they give it a sniff.
Mm-hmm.
Steve McQueen keeps sniffing the meteorite piece. He picks up like the rifle. He's sniffing the rifle. I was like, there's a lot of sniffing going on in this movie.
His senses are heightened.
He's part Bassett.
Yeah.
Bassett.
Yeah.
Part Bassett.
Yeah.
That's Stevie calling. I just hung up on her. I'm pretty much finished here. We're going to listen to the rest of the song. Hi, what's up?
Beware of the blob, it creeps and leaps and climbs and slides across the floor. I use the floor and all around the wall. A splash and a punch. Be careful of the blob. Beware of the blob, it creeps and leaps and climbs and slides.
It's up to you. You've been running around all day. Okay.